Hi, everybody. I want to give you a few tips as you are beginning to organize your Unit 3 argumentative essay for English 102. Um, so for this week, you are going to create your planner or outline or organizer, if you will, for the essay. Now, I want to make a couple of points clear. For this essay, it is your argumentative essay, and you are arguing for one side of your debatable issue. So when you look at your research question, you are picking a side. Now, you clarified this thesis in the first assignment we did for Unit 3, the Research Questions and Reasons assignment. So go back into that and see my feedback on your thesis and make sure you're very clear about your position. You can't waffle on both sides. You can't say, I see both sides. You do have to argue for one position. So make sure you're clear on that. Another thing that you need to do in this Unit 3 essay is to use at least 6 sources, 6 credible sources. Now, you already have that many and more if you think about it. So in Unit 1, you found 2 articles that talked about your issue. You can use those sources. In Unit 2, you found 2 more articles, one arguing pro and one arguing con on your issue. You can use those articles. And then in Unit 3, you found 3 more articles and did that article evaluation on those. So all told, you should have 7 articles. Now, ultimately, will all of those work? Will you be able to use them in this essay? I don't know. Hopefully you already have all the sources you need. If not, you'll have to do additional research. At this point, you should know how to do your research. You should know how to apply the CRAP test and find good sources. So as you're creating your outline for this week, if you find that there are gaps, you need more information, you can do targeted research to find that information. So you can have certainly more than 6 articles, but you are required to have 6 articles or more for this essay, and you may draw from everything you've done throughout this semester. All right, what you're seeing here on the screen is a kind of a description of the organization of your paper. And then what you're going to fill out is the actual outline. So I think looking at the description first is helpful to just sort of talk you through what's going to be in this paper. And then you're going to put the specific information for your paper here on the planner. Now, on the planner, I don't know how to make this any more clear than to say you need to fill in information after every colon on this worksheet. So here in the introduction, you don't have to put anything here, but you do need to put something here, here for the topic background, here for the thesis statement. Here under background, again, nothing there, but you need to give your definitions, your history, etc., etc. So please do not leave anything blank that has a colon there. That means you need to fill in the information. All right, so I'm not going to read through this. You can do it, but let me just give you a couple of tips. The introduction is going to be similar to what you've already done with this issue. So you can look back in your Unit 1 and Unit 2 essays to get some of that information. So don't reinvent the wheel. You've probably already explained why it's debatable, explained the 2 sides, etc., etc. However, Section 2 in this Unit 3 paper does ask for you to give a historical or background overview of your debatable topic. You have not really done this before. You may have that information in some of your sources, but what you're trying to do is give the reader of your essay a little overview of where this issue began, how it has evolved, and where it is today. Now, if you cannot find anything that's going to be really helpful in the sources that you already have, a good way to get background information is to go into SIRS. So let's say that my debatable issue that I got from SIRS was driverless vehicles. What I can do is go down to where it says driverless vehicles timeline. It will give you a little bit of it, but you need to click view full timeline. Now I have a very nice detailed timeline of the history of this issue. So you can see this kind of goes all the way back to 1939, and you can kind of see how it evolved. Of course, you're not going to replicate the timeline, but this is a place where you could garner some information to show where the idea of driverless vehicles started, how it has developed, maybe some of the controversy about it, and most importantly, probably where we are today. And this one goes all the way up to 2024. So you can pick some of this information. If you do use information from your SIRS timeline, you will need to cite that source. So use your Cite button. Make sure you change it to APA 7, and you'll see, and they all are the same. The title will be in italics, and it will be your issue timeline. Now, the citation is not quite correct because you need to use sentence case, not title case. So it would be driverless, the D would be capitalized, but not the V or the T. It also should have a period after the title, and then the date in parentheses, which you'll see here in SIRS. One period, not two, and then the source is ProQuest, period. Now, in the document where I explain this, I show you that information as well. All right, so that's a little different section than you've done before. All right, then you're going to choose 3 or maybe 4 of the reasons that you created in that reasons assignment that you did to show why your position is correct. You are required to use 3, but this paper has to be at least 7 pages. That is a lot. So if you could do 4 reasons, you will be very happy because you'll be not having to stretch as much to get to that length requirement. But everyone is required to do at least 3. So you'll explain the reason, and then you're going to give specific information from your sources for that reason. You have 6 sources to choose from. Try to put as much as you can in every reason. Try to get the most detailed information you can, specific facts, statistics, not just the overall point of the article. We want details here. For each reason, you must use at least 2 different sources so that we're synthesizing our sources and not just relying on one article for one reason. Okay, so of course you can use more than 2, but each claim or reason needs to use information from at least 2 of your sources. By the time you get through this whole planner, you need to have used information from all of your 6 articles. So just see what you can find. So be sure that you put that information. In your argumentative essay, you are going to have a section that gives the counter argument, the opposing viewpoint. You did this in your Unit 2 essay, so you can draw from that and certainly express the opposing view. And then you're going to go back to that counter argument in the rebuttal and say, yeah, well, yes, you make some good points, and while this may be true, but yet here is why my position is correct. So the rebuttal is countering the counter argument. So you're going to fill that information in as well. And then conclusion, you'll just fill in the information that I require, and then you're going to list all of your references. Now, pull that information from Unit 1 essay, Unit 2 essay, my feedback on your article evaluations, so that your references are as accurate as possible. So this should be an APA format, author, date, title, source, link, unless it's a database article, all the information that you have. Very important that you list the sources so I can look them up. Also very important that you do it as accurately as you can. I will try to help you, but if you just give me a link or you don't really try at all, I'm not going to help you. You're going to have to look that up on your own, and you will be held accountable for that on the final paper. So do yourself a favor and list it as accurately as you can so that I can give you good feedback. All right, so again, make sure that you fill this out thoroughly. Don't leave anything blank where you have a colon. Make sure you use all of your sources and that you are using 6 at least. You certainly can use more than that. And make sure that you give all those good supporting details. One last thing I'll say is that, oops, sorry about that. That when you give the specific details in your reasons or claims, do give me the citation that you would use within your essay, author, comma, year. Again, that way I can help check those citations. All right, hope that will help you.